And are you refreshed?
Yes.
Good. Now what? You know, they're becoming more and more and more and more.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much. Every time I heard your recordings, I prayed to Abraham that one day I will come here, and I've traveled from London last night to be here. Yeah. I started listening to you back while I was on maternity leave when I had a little daughter. She's 1.5 years now. And I have a few questions. The first...
Don't worry, we only have one answer.
Okay, first thing is that I want to learn. I have a very loving family. I have loving friends. But I want to learn, most of all, to love myself and to be good to myself.
Well, we've been talking about that all day, haven't we? About how the way you feel must be of paramount importance. And sometimes it's easier for you to acknowledge that by doing so, you come into alignment with Source, and therefore you come into your power. Our favorite explanation of this is a woman was talking to us one day about living in this miserable apartment complex. And she thought about moving, but just couldn't get around to it. And there was so much about it that was unpleasant to her. And then one day they passed an ordinance that made her longtime cat illegal. And so now she's sneaking the cat in and out and in and out and in and out. And finally, she moved because of the cat. And we said, it's so interesting that you wouldn't move because of your own misery. It's a sort of sacrificial thing that so many humans are doing. In other words, you often do not do what's best for yourself because you've been taught that an attitude of service or caring more about how others are doing matters more. Sometimes what keeps you from aligning with Source is wanting to uplift them, and so wanting to behave in a way that they are uplifted. That starts at an early age with so many. When you behave in a way that pleases your mother, you like her to be pleased. And we get why. Things go better if mother is happy. But you train yourselves by caring about what others think, or by behaving in ways that evoke good responses from others. Without meaning to, you often train yourself right out of your realization of how your inner being is feeling. So you lose connection with that stream of consciousness. You lose connection with that stream of love. And in the process, you become detached from what it really feels like to feel good. And so sometimes it takes some understanding to bring yourself back there. And that's why we spend time, almost every gathering, reminding you that there are two aspects of you that are in concert all the time, and that your awareness of that non-physical part of you is paramount to you understanding what your emotions are. So once you have that understanding, and you do, then it's just a matter of really caring about the way you feel, and then just paying attention, and when you hear the rumble strip, do something about it. It's not complicated, but it does take steady practice. We have to say to you, it sounds a little odd to us that any of you would say, I'm working really hard to give myself permission to feel good, when every single thing that every one of you want is that. And we think what has been going on is that you've been misunderstanding how you feel good, because everything that you want, pile of money, relationship, state of being, condition, a material object, everything that you want, you believe you will feel better in the having of it. So there is a lot of striving for conditions to change so that you can feel good. And so sometimes you've become so conditional about feeling good, and so unable to control conditions in order to feel good, that many of you a while back have just given up on feeling good because you've misunderstood how to go about it, and you've tried the impossible game of controlling conditions which you can't control in order to feel good. And so you just stop caring about how you feel because you figured that you couldn't control how you feel, because after all, stuff just happens. And we say, now you don't have that excuse anymore. In fact, that disclaimer that you signed coming in, Esther thinks maybe she should put on there, you can't go back. I acknowledge that there's no going back, that I'm going to receive knowledge and I'm going to resonate with deep understanding, and I'm never going to be able to use the same flimsy excuses that I've been using. So you've got all the pieces in place. You also have a new little one to remind you that feeling good is natural, and that unless you're doing something that causes you not to feel good, you're going to feel good. That's natural. That's natural. You're really not asking for permission to feel good, but you are asking for technique to feel good. And we say, look around, and when you feel bad, say, whoops, that's not it. And look around some more, and when you feel bad, say, whoop, that's not it either. And look around when you feel good, I'm onto something. What are the components of this? Until you self-teach what alignment is.
Mm-hmm. That's great, thank you. My other question is that I'm a medical doctor, and for the last 15 years, I've sort of dedicated myself into research. I haven't been involved in clinical care of patients. And although I really enjoy what I do, the research work that I do miss that hands-on, one-to-one interaction with patients.
Yes, but there are two things that we want to say to you before you get too far into this, just as a basis of understanding. Approaching it in the way that you are allows you the opportunity to do something that you're really good at without coming face to face with things that take you so easily out of alignment. You understand what we're getting at?
Yeah.
So because you are focused with a very strong sincerity to accomplish something, and because you are not commonly provoked out of alignment, the way you're going about it is in alignment with what is in your vortex. And again, things dovetail together. Isn't it nice how whatever's going on is evidenced by several things that you're wanting to talk about? That desire for service is a lovely thing because it's nice to uplift. And we know that you are a teacher and an uplifter to the very core of your being. But it also is a little bit about, should I serve self or should I serve others? This way, I'm doing both the way you're doing it. The other makes you feel like you would be of more service to others, but in the process you would be, jeopardizing is too strong a word, but you would be challenging your own alignment more of the time. And so we just wanted to lay that out to help you understand why you have chosen what you've chosen, you see.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Something more? Really good.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've experienced many magical moments in my life. I just want to mention one of them. One day I had a very tough week at work, and then a very tough Friday. I couldn't wait to go home. And a friend of mine called me and she said, let's go out tonight. I knew she was alone in this country. She was from Venezuela. So I really was tired. I wanted to go home, but because she was alone, and I said, don't be selfish, just wait for her. So I said, okay, we'll go out tonight. And then she said, I said to you, I'll meet you at 5. And she said, oh, I leave at 6:30. So I knew I had to wait an hour and a half. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't want to do it. But because she was alone, I said, okay, don't be selfish and go out with her. So I waited and we met. We started walking. I feel very good when I walk. And I started to feel better. And then she sees a restaurant. She said, let's go eat at the restaurant. And my husband passed away and I'm a little scared about money. And I hesitated to go spend money. But again, I said, just go along. So I went to the restaurant, and then she paid for my bill. And I got so happy, extremely happy, because she paid for my bill. And so as I was walking outside, I said, that's Carnegie Hall. And she said, what's Carnegie Hall? And I said, it's a prestigious concert hall. And then I said, maybe someone will give me 2 tickets and I'll take you there. And I left it there and we continued along. On Monday, I get a text message that says, I have 2 tickets for Carnegie Hall if you want to go with your Venezuelan friend. And it's like, oh my God. They're even telling me who the second ticket is for, and I was so shocked. So my question to you is, I'm sorry, I have many dreams, and let's say I want to come to one of your cruises. It feels like it comes from the brain, and I keep thinking about it, I want to come to you. But then when the desire comes just like that, how did I make it materialize so quickly? I was not in the vortex all weeks, I was not in the vortex all day. What happened?
But in those not in the vortex moments, you are asking with stronger desire. There isn't anything that you wanted more than to feel good. And when you don't feel good, there isn't anything that you want more pointedly than to feel good. So there was a strong calling, even though you were not in a place of letting it in. Then because you were close enough, in other words, we think it is a nice thing, that your friend was in alignment enough that her power of influence was strong. This is what we're talking about with the sweet mother that we were talking about earlier. When you are in alignment, your power of influence is mighty. And so your friend and her power of influence caused you to, as you said, just go along. In other words, we like to describe you when you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, as like a satellite dish that is beaming the signal closer where those who are reaching for it can maybe find it. We also want to say that you couldn't have been as far out of alignment as you were proclaiming yourself to be. Otherwise, as you acknowledge, law of attraction would not have put you together with all of these things. But do you notice, this is the specific answer to your question. When you're asking for something and not railing against not having it, your vibration is purer and clearer than you know. Also, when you're asking for something and not demanding that it come this way or this way or this way or this way. In other words, when you think about something that you want and you ask how it will come and where it will come from and when it will come and where it will be, and you're asking those questions to which you do not have answers, you put yourself in a vibration of resistance. But when you're just putting it out there in an attitude of it being out there, then you're in a softer, lighter place of the universe answering your requests than you know. So earlier, when we were encouraging all of you to pay attention to the way you feel, and when you're not feeling good, say to yourself, oh, that's not it. And when you are feeling good, say, that's it. These are the kinds of things that it is beneficial for you to remember and identify and try to isolate as information, because when you get an outcome that is pleasing, that means there was something that was going on in your vibration that matched the pleasing outcome. And so don't argue for your limitations by trying to make law of attraction something different than it is by saying, I wasn't doing anything that caused that alignment. Why did good things come? Instead, look for the evidence or the pieces, the particles, the segments, the pieces that were in alignment, you see. And so it's easy as we hear your story to hear that it just got better and better and better. You broke through your resistance relatively easily, like Esther, when you were eating, usually, in other words, being in that place, and then one thing and another. Is that satisfying to you?
Yes.
Yes. Something more?
Thank you.
Yeah.